Bone Tomahawk, starring Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, and Richard Jenkins. It's a modern western that de-romanticizes the genre, drawing instead on the ultra-violence present on the American frontier of those days. A disclaimer from me, it is a brutal, visceral film to the point that it's not for everyone. I consider myself pretty resilient when it comes to this stuff, but even I had to look away a few times. I'm serious, it is gruesome. Fortunately, you kind of get a sense of what it is right from the get-go. The opening shot features a few men being brutally murdered in their sleep by drifters. Those drifters then try to escape the law and inadvertently walk through and desecrate an Indian burial site. We then skip 11 days forward to a small town on the frontier. One of those drifters finds himself there and gets arrested for the night. In the morning, he is nowhere to be found, along with the deputy and the wife of one of the townspeople who was taking care of his wounds. As it turns out, they were all kidnapped by the very same Indians from the burial site. A local Indian from another tribe identifies them as vile cannibalistic cave dwellers. The sheriff, the other deputy, the husband of the kidnapped woman, and one more man from the town mount a rescue operation. So, Bone Tomahawk taps into some of the classic elements of Western. For most of the film, for example, we have four guys on a sort of road trip through the country in order to save people and bring justice. However, right from the get-go, it feels like this isn't one of those nice romantic tales of brave cowboys and noble Indians. The Wild West of this film is brutal and indifferent and dangerous. There is a palpable tension that permeates the film, and it only grows as we watch the situation go from bad to worse to absolute fucking nightmare. It's all the more compelling that for the most part, the characters don't really make stupid decisions for which they are punished. A lot of the bad stuff that happens is completely independent of their actions, which increases that feeling of some sort of inevitable divine reckoning raining down on them. A reckoning that may be impossible to prevent. And this feeling is further enhanced by the creative choices regarding the Indians themselves. Their look, the way that they don't speak but instead use creepy demon-like sounds to communicate, is just out of this world. It makes them seem like something not entirely real or comprehensible. It makes it unclear whether they're still regular people or there is some unnatural mystical element to them. As I was watching, I thought back to Event Horizon and its themes of incomprehensible hell. It's kind of similar here. And even when trouble comes from when the characters do make bad decisions, because that happens occasionally, we can see why they would make them. They're decisions that are not optimal or not logical, but there is a reason for those characters to make those decisions. They're believable through and through. And then there's the climax sequence in the Valley of the Indian Tribe, which is tense, shocking, violent, and just leaves you shaken. An amazing way to release that tension that you have been building for so long. The problem for me is that this climax comes too early. It happens and you think, wow, this is going to be the end now. This is it. And then there's half an hour of film more, and I have to admit that last part does not live up to the stuff that comes before it. It doesn't have the same grip, but it's also less believable. Put it like this, for an hour and a half I felt like I was watching real people going through a terrible ordeal, and then I suddenly felt I was watching a Hollywood movie. It does take a dive towards the end, which is unfortunate, because as I was watching it, I thought Bone Tomahawk was on its way to be bloody excellent, probably a 9 out of 10 film. And then it runs out of momentum, and I think at the end of the day, I'd give it a 7 at best overall, which, is still pretty good, but it's not a masterpiece.